Hello, Dee. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. How's it going?
Very good, very good. Very excited to be able to talk to you and talk about this wonderful series, Master of the Air. I want to know how did you get ended up in this project because it has been produced by Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg, and also I noticed on episode 8, I noticed that you were involved in the show in this episode especially. It was wonderful seeing the Tuskegee in this episode. So I know it's a lot of questions, guys. I got excited, sorry. But how was it working with Spielberg and also working on this episode?
Yes, I worked on episodes 7 and 8,
Yeah.
which deals with Love 3, and then also in the entry of the 99th Fighting Squadron over the Tuskegee Airmen who turned the tide. But Cary Fukunaga invited me to aboard, was coming together, and so he's talking about Ryan and Anna. We're gonna do it, and so it felt like a great group of filmmakers coming around, and I knew that because of filmmakers coming from the feature film world, that
Mhm.
it would be a cinematic approach, and that it would have a more kind of like serious kind of tone and like a visual approach.
Yeah, the episode looks beautiful, especially those flight scenes. How was it working with this? Because this is like on another level. The way the show has been shot from starting with Carrie and everything. How excited were you?
Yeah, no, it's fun. Like I'd done some kind of war stuff with Mudbound. We did
Yeah.
some that's why I got my DP Richard Rutkowski. He did the aerial scenes for like Mudbound. And so for this, we obviously had more tools and more time. So it's always fun to kind of play and get to sit inside the actual planes. And we shot some plane to plane footage. We got to get in like fighter planes, actually shoot,
Yeah.
shoot the planes in flight. And so for me, I didn't want to lose track of the human element. So
Yeah.
in the midst of that, in the midst of like the battles, like just kind of making sure we're charting, someone's emotional arc. So when Rosie, for example, is leading the mission like over Berlin, he's gone from kind of like confusion to kind of like feeling like, oh, should I be the guy who's now leading this? To then like leading that charge, and then having the triumphant return. Or from the opening scene where the in our Ramatelli base operations where they're doing like these kind of night strafing missions, this kind of idea of like visibility where, you're in a plane and you can't sight navigate, you're flying blind, you're literally flying by your coordinates, and so just to see them then make these targeted strikes, in a disciplined and kind of like regimented way. So, you just kind of want to um, track both the action and the human feeling, especially where people's faces are mostly covered. So you really have to
Yeah.
keep track of the performances also. Yeah.
Yeah. And on episode 8, I got a chance to see it, and I love the part where the Germans talking with the soldiers, especially like looking how to break them, but he starts like in a nice way, like, hey, they treat you bad, they treat you this way, and they were sturdy with their actions, with their names and their rank. How was it? I know there are many scenes, but this scene was eye catching to me because the way their interaction was it. How was it working this scene or as a director and also as
Yeah.
a writer? Yeah.
Yeah, I wanted to write this scene specifically because, the interrogation shows a
Hmm.
lot of things. It shows that the Germans or the Nazis ironically knew more about the fighters than their
Yeah.
comrades, the fighters knew, and also, I wanted to bring up the idea of that the stakes for these airmen are different than the stakes for the other airmen. For example, they're fighting a battle for a country in which they don't even have the right to vote.
Yeah.
And so the irony of like you're gonna die for this country, but you can't even go cast a ballot for this country, in this country. And so I wanted, Scharf to use the truth, is based on this this guy Hans Scharf, who was known for his, interrogations and known for the way he, kind of like disarm or kind of ingratiate himself with the subjects. And, in this way, telling the truth to them was like the
Mhm.
harshest thing he could do, and in that we really get to see the resolve as Jefferson and Macon have to answer those questions for themselves. Yeah, but like before they enter the camp. So
No, this scene was incredible. Even though it's a short scene, but it's impactful. That like the way you say right now that the Germans knew more about their firefighters than their own country. It was I found it very interesting. And I think those sometimes there's bigger scenes and sometimes with just a little bit, it shows you the way the Germans were thinking. It was very, really great. And also working with, like I was saying before, with Tom Hanks. I know he's a very big war movies buff. And also Spielberg. How was it working with them in the sense of bringing this story also as a World War II story? So how important was it to bring the other side of this story?
Well, it was an honor because, of course, I've seen the Band of Brothers franchise in the Pacific. So, definitely felt like you're stepping into like, big ranks. And so I just wanted to like do the series justice and continue it. And I think it's important to introduce like these new characters who should also be considered masters of the air. And so thankfully um I turned in my director's cut and they saw the edits and got positive feedback. So I was just glad that they were happy with it because I know they've been living in this world for so long, and glad that they were open to like broadening the kind of perspective and widening the frame, so to speak. But yeah, and the characters, John Orloff had written in these Tuskegee characters before, but they were very open and allowing me to like expand upon them and blow them out even more because once you get into it, they could have a series like of their own. So there's so
Yeah,
many things that I wanted to put in that we can only get in so much time.
maybe for season two. We can
Yeah.
do it. Yeah, I mean, it was very great the way they were exposed, and also seeing how blacks were part of history. Thanks to this show, there are more eyes on the story. It's amazing. It has been a great show. I noticed that each episode is shot almost like a movie. The way the sense of scope, the way the action scenes are filmed is amazing.
Thanks. That's how it felt. It felt like, where it felt like each filmmaker, you're doing like a feature film,
Yeah,
because, it's very, it's a standalone character arc in a ways, and it also then fits into the bigger story, and then our episodes, I was excited because, it's also them in a different context. We're used to seeing them flying around being heroes,
mm,
but in the episode 7, they're literally grounded. They don't have their machines, they don't have their gear, they don't have all the things that usually make them feel strong. And so they have to contend with themselves and figure out how to feel strong, even as, they're kind of demoralized, and kind of losing it. So yeah, and then in that context, enter the kind of very force they weren't aware of they'll come and save them. The 99th Fighting Squadron, the Tuskegee Airmen are the ones that then, are key to that liberation.
yeah.
So
Well, Dee, thank you so much. I appreciate your time. I love the movie. I love your career. And I see more woman empowerment because I have a daughter, teenager, and I always tell her that to do what she wants. She loves drawing, she loves art. And I think with more women on behind the scenes at all scene on screen, uh, women can relate and people can relate, especially I'm Puerto Rican from Puerto Rico and I love it. So thank you so much. It's been so I could keep talking the whole day, and we just want to say thank you.
no, thanks for watching. I appreciate it.
Uh,
All right.
you're welcome. Also, you can catch Masters of the Air airing on Apple TV Plus. So thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have a good day.
Thanks so much, you too.